As the unofficial spokesman for the trials and tribulations of the Essendon Football Club, he's had a big weekend.
Oh, it's been massive, absolutely massive. So the moment Brad Scott was let go and James went on the footy show, there was a period there where I turned my phone off and just needed a bit of a spell from hearing my own voice. I didn't want to be heard here, there and everywhere. So AW and Channel 9 and that's it, Jack.
You've had a lot to say. I
have. I get pinged with a lot of questions on it, and that's what I believe. That I do want the best coach for the club, and I think I want everyone in front of them. So Craig McRae bobs up when no one would have thought he would be the coach of Collingwood, and Stephen King has had a good year. No one would have thought. Everyone thought it was going to be Nathan Buckley's job. So I think I just want everyone to put their hand up. We've gone through a number of coaches at the club. Like it's gone from when I was there, Matthew Knights, and then it might have been, I don't know, John Worsfold, James Hurd, Ben Rutten.
Is James
Brad
Hurd
Scott
the best coach for the Essendon
No,
Football
I
Club?
can't answer that in terms of, as I said on the air there, he would be sort of, some people would say, no, I'm not going to support the club anymore if he was coach, but I think more would say I'm coming back to support the club because it's been a really low ebb for the club. But I don't know who the next Craig McRae is, so that I would like the club to go through that process and pitch them against James. Or does John Longmire want the job? I'm not saying he's right for it, but I just want them to get the best coaches in front of them to fight for it.
We had this Essendon fan ring in a few days ago, and he said, and it was probably the most interesting call out of all of them, and he said, the club will never let this ghost die until he's given an opportunity. Like every time you put a new coach in, the spectre, again to use that word, it's there and it never goes away of James Hurd.
Yeah, that's right, but that's because we've had no success. Like if someone could come in, I remember speaking to Kane Lambert and say, what happened at Richmond? And he said, I said, you were hopeless and then suddenly become a good club. He said, well, Damien Harbert was so strong. He had good support from Peggy O'Neill and Brendan Gale, and we started winning. We won our first 5 of 2017 and we had a new confidence about ourselves and we won a premiership. So I think if the club put on a coach, whoever that was, and they won their first 5 games and they become a finalist and a preliminary, people would move on. But it's just it keeps coming back because everyone's been so successful and there's been no finals wins, Jack, for 20 plus years.
Well, what did you make of what they dished up last night?
It wasn't any better, but the side was as weak as probably there's been. They had Durham, Caldwell, Redmond, McGrath all out injured. So we'll see. There was no Josh Fraser bounce, but I expect the club to win a few in the run home once they get their players back.
Okay, we've got lots to talk about. I've got a lovely text message, though, to cheer you up. Hi, Jack. I just wanted to thank Lloyd for stopping to chat with my son in Brighton through the week whilst he waited for a coffee. He has been the biggest fan since he was a tiny boy, and he is now aged 26. It just made his week, and he is a true gentleman of the game.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm all happy. I love speaking to people in the street when they're nice and respectful, which they always are.
All right, Dom on Essendon supporters. Hi, Dom.
Yeah, g'day, Jackie. Yeah, Geelong are the Blues bunny. It was just an
Thank
easy
you, Dom.
win.
Thank you.
Matthew, I think there's a couple of reasons. Look, I think that so many Essendon supporters would want him back because they feel like he was totally shafted by the AFL over the drugs thing. And the other thing is there's a huge financial gain for the club for having him back, the positivity that it'll generate amongst Essendon supporters. And the other thing, you look at, like I'm a Carlton supporter, look at their injuries. They got like 16 to 17 injuries the whole year. You cannot expect teams that are struggling with that amount of injuries to actually improve. And they're going to improve next year with a decent run with injuries. And I think most Essendon supporters would want him for the job. And I think they've either got to do what you say. They've either got to say, he's got the job, or what it is, got to come out and make a decision and say, this is the best for Essendon and this is where we're going.
Yeah, I think that's a few weeks away. I think it's not going to happen now. I think that decision, I think that the club will take its time to think through every scenario.
All right. Thanks, Dom. Now, just on the Blues, which Dom brought up, like Josh Fraser, what an incredible performance. And yes, the umpiring, the goal, David Roden, and that miss was significant. but they played so well, and it's like they're playing with excitement and freedom, and it was a very good game to watch.
It was good. I was able to call that with 3OW, and it was a gripping game. Geelong started really well, and then Carlton just came back and have a real belief about themselves. Their best players are playing good football. Cripps and Walsh and Wiedering are back, and there's got some youth in the team. So some are asking how would Michael Voss be feeling, but
Well, how would he be feeling?
He'd be shattered, but I think seeing what they're producing, but he wasn't able to produce it, in my opinion.
Why do you think that was?
I know there's something within the group. Did the players want change? Have they rebounded back because he moved on? Why couldn't they see out games under Michael Voss, yet under Josh Fraser they finished
What's
games?
Josh Fraser done that's so significantly different?
I think it does take pressure off, and it's a change. You get the sugar hit nice and early, but they say he's freed them up with their ball movement, so they're not as safe with the ball, and probably playing players in different roles.
What about the young players coming through?
Yeah, that certainly helps too. But you're only as good as your senior players, and Cripps has gone from a player who's looked like a journeyman to being the best player in the game the last 3 weeks.
Wiedering was back.
Yeah, Wiedering was back. Mackay's been a little bit better. And then the kids have sort of fed off that.
Do you reckon they could make the finals?
Well, they have got a good
You've
draw.
done your list.
because it's a top 10, that they're not that far out of it. So there's no doubt there's still plenty of time to make it if they can get on a roll.
You and I spoke last week about the Lions, and I said, I think they're done, and you said you weren't sure yet. You changed your mind
because
yet?
I've embarrassed myself for 2 years in a row where I've written them off and then they come back and go well. But I think this is the week. Every week you give them one more chance, but they play the Suns, who they despise each other, and it's like big brother, little brother, and they can't beat the Suns. I think I will be putting the Lions.
A couple of text messages coming in. Lloyd and Jacqui, does James realise that the club is bigger than the individual? I wouldn't think so. The best coach available is working on the sidelines at the Swans. John Longmire. Proven record. Unfortunately, Essendon is a boys' club and will remain so.
One thing you got to think about too is there's a soft cap. So you have spend within football departments. It's not just the players have a salary cap and the coaches and the staff have a salary cap. So John Longmire would command big money, and then it limits who you can have with them at times. So, for example, when Craig McRae came, it was a package. It was McRae, Brendan Bolton, Justin Lepich, and the players thought having 3 senior men who had, previous to had coached, how beneficial it was, rather than, say, Clarkson, for example, would be on a massive,
big money. Yeah.
So it limits what you can have around that coach too. So that's what the club has to factor in.
Another text message from Paul. Again, Horse will easily be the best coach. However, I don't think he'd want to coach there. Would John Longmire consider it? Like, there's a rumour going around like anywhere but Essendon, right?
I haven't heard that, but I think that he hasn't ruled himself out. So others have, and he didn't say anything. So there potentially could be some interest there.
Lloydie, time Ross Lyon was put under the microscope. He continues to go on under the radar. Are the media frightened of him? Well, we know one person who's frightened of Ross Lyon. He says the loss is ordinary over 2 years or more. That's
a fair call. That I think he would be intimidating to go to the media conferences and interview and things like that. The injuries aren't good right now. For he's lost pretty much his whole forward line, Wanganeen, Millera, and they don't have the pizzazz and skill of other teams. So they should be better than 12th, but the injuries sort of haven't helped him either.
You're quite brilliant, Shane.
Never gets old, does it?
No.
But Tony Jones made this point with Tom Elliott this morning. He said no one's looking at the Saints, and he's got a coach in waiting sitting there. Like, do you start a succession plan with Corey and Wright?
Yeah, I think Ross is the man right now. So I think it's premature now, but this next year, I agree. If he's not making top 6 or winning a couple of finals, well, then pressure would come on.
Okay, and let's take a look at Collingwood too. We're almost out of time, but your thoughts on whether you'll see them playing in the finals, and that just getting too old? Is it starting to pass them by?
Yeah, and they don't have high quality kids coming through. I think they've given away so many picks for guys like Dan Houston and senior players to come to the football club. So the older guys are getting older. The huge reliance on Nick Dacos, and then they don't have kids to build a side around. So again, I always thought they'd be a wild card or playoff team, and they're outside that at the moment. So
what if they lose to Melbourne on King's birthday?
Well, right now they're sort of 2 points out of their top 10. They'd be disappointed. Anyone should be disappointed if you're not top 10. That's more
100%.
more than half the competition.
Do you still think the top 10's weird?
Only thing I like about it is I hate the week off. Going into the finals.
Pits, yes.
So it should be an exciting weekend that last weekend.
Well, speaking of weeks off, the stupid buys start now. Yeah. It sucks. Everything is exciting. And isn't it great to come home on a Thursday and a Friday and a Sunday, and you can sit there and Saturday and you watch a footy and you've got all this footy all the time. And now we start this crap again.
Well, when I first started, when I was playing, we used to have the whole weekend, every team would have a bye except Sydney and Collingwood, and they'd just have that one game. So there was never a free weekend. So there's always something to watch, but we didn't have it split over 5 weeks. Now players complain, or the AFLPA say we need to make sure players get not 5 days, 6 days. There's enough break for these players, and that's why it's now been spread, because there's so many people having their say on looking after the players.
These people are one, they're young. Two, except for Pennell, but they're all young, and Dangerfield. But they're young, they're fit, this is their job, and they're paid a lot of money. Like all of these buys, I just think it ruins the season.
Yeah, I just wish, you're right, that maybe we could have a few more players on the list and you just manage and you give a player a week off here or there if you need to.
And just finally on the arc, because I'm annoyed about it, what do you think of that?
I thought David Roden got it wrong because he slipped.
Could he have put his hands up?
That's what it's there for. I think he's someone, I might just be guessing, but out of just watching with my own eye, he's someone that likes to back his own decisions in rather than calling for the arc. But this was an occasion he needed to call for it because he fell over. So it's the perfect time to call for it, and it would have been a goal to the Cats. And maybe the difference to rub it in.
Well, no, I've been told in no uncertain terms it would not have been the difference. But yes, it was. I am a little salty. Now, Cripps, a couple of text messages. Cripps could win his third Brownlow. Players didn't want Voss there, so that's why they only played 2 to 3 quarters. Are we talking about Cripps winning a third Brownlow off that?
Well, I think they won't win enough games, Carlton. And he's had a good 3 weeks. But I think there'd be guys like Bontempelli, Nick Dacos, Bailey Smith would all be well and truly in front of him.
If you could choose a winner right now, who would it be?
I think Bailey Smith. It would be in front right now with Nick Dacos nipping at his heels.